That's not romance. That's survival dependency. The rabbit no longer leads you into the world, it keeps you from disappearing inside it. But now, let's step into something darker. Because the Wonderland comparisons don't stop at symbolism, they're built into the characters like a hidden script. Takoru Dama, the Hatter. They didn't even try to hide this one. The man literally throws endless parties at the beach, just like the Mad Hatter's eternal tea time. Except instead of sugar cubes and riddles, he's dealing in desperation, bribes, and gunfire. His tea party is a nightclub where denial gets dressed up like freedom. The Mad Hatter in Wonderland asks riddles he never answers. Dama does the same. He acts like he knows how to escape Borderland, but dies before anyone finds out whether he ever did. The difference? Carroll's Hatter wastes your time, Borderland's Hatter takes your life. And here's the twist, the Mad Hatter wasn't actually crazy. He was stuck in time, frozen at 6000 forever as punishment. Dama, he's stuck in a different kind of loop, pretending happiness will save people from the truth. The beach is a tea table covered with corpses no one wants to look at. Now enter Chishiya, the Cheshire Cat. You already know it the second you see that smirk. He's quiet, clever, and never fully there. He appears when he wants, disappears when it matters, and speaks in riddles that sound like answers, until you think about them too long. In Wonderland, the Cheshire Cat doesn't guide Alice. He tests her reality. In Borderland, Chishiya plays the same role. Just with explosives and stolen cards instead of floating grins, he doesn't push Arisu towards survival, he pushes him toward clarity. And like the original cat, he pretends to know everything, but hides the fact that he's lost too. But you ready for the real rabbit hole? His name, Chishiya, loosely links to fatal in Japanese context. He's not an ally, he's a mirror. The kind that shows you your worst side, knowing you'll break before you admit it. Then there's Mira Khan, the Queen of Hearts, cold, elegant, calculated, and the moment she started that croquet game, it was over. In Wonderland, the Queen of Hearts yells, "Off with their heads!" In Borderland, she never needs to raise her voice. She breaks you with hallucinations, whispers, and logic that makes your sanity turn on itself. Her game isn't about winning, it's about surrender. The original queen uses fear to control Wonderland. Mira uses truth to make you doubt reality. And that's so much worse, because you can't swing a sword at your own mind. And here's the part almost nobody catches. The militants at the beach, they're not random soldiers. They're the card soldiers from Wonderland. Look at their outfits, look at the symbols. Look at how they follow orders, not convictions. They don't fight because they're loyal. They fight because they're terrified. They obey in Wonderland so they don't get beheaded. They obey in Borderland so they don't disappear. And then comes one of the most underappreciated parallels, Kuina, the caterpillar. Always calm, always observing, always exhaling smoke like she's seen the next 5 moves before anyone even blinks. In Carroll's world, the caterpillar gives Alice cryptic truths and mushrooms that change her perspective. In Borderland, Kuina gives survival strategies that force characters to grow or die, not magical but transformative. And don't forget, her entire identity is about transformation. She transitioned long before Borderland. She changed who she was and survived the world once. That's what the caterpillar represents, evolution before chaos. And if you think that's where the parallels end, think again. Because Naraji, he's the March Hare, but weaponized, impulsive, deranged, unpredictable. The March Hare drives Alice insane at the tea party. Naragi burns Borderland to the ground just because existence offends him. He dies in fire, crawls back like ash with a pulse, and causes more damage broken than he ever did whole. Carroll's hair was chaotic. Borderland's hair is the chaos with a knife. And don't sleep on Anne, the White Queen. Calm, analytical, wearing white. In the original stories, the White Queen is wisdom and reason. Anne is the one who sees patterns in death games and finds solutions when everyone else is spiraling. She's not loud. She's the voice that cuts through panic. Her presence turns hysteria into strategy. Wonderland made the White Queen whimsical. Borderland made her forensic. And that's way more terrifying. But now we get to the most emotional parallel of them all, Chota and Karub, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Always side by side, always bickering, always loyal. The original twins tell Alice stories meant to distract and protect her from danger. In Borderland, these two literally die so Arisu can live. They don't guide him with poems. They guide him with sacrifice. And here's the part you didn't see coming. Wonderland never kills its twins, Borderland does. Why? Because it isn't Wonderland. It's Wonderland's shadow. But right when you think the story's done, Season 3 drops that final scene. A new Alice, in the US, working in a diner, completely unaware she's next. You thought Arisu's story ended the cycle. The show basically said, Wonderland is global now. And if you think that was just a cameo, you're not paying attention. Carroll wrote One Alice. Borderland just introduced the franchise model. Borderland isn't a retelling, it's an infection. And the question isn't who's next, it's how long before we fall in. You know what nobody wants to admit? Alice in Borderland isn't just inspired by Wonderland. It's the upgrade. Wonderland was confusing. Borderland is calculated. Wonderland bends logic. Borderland bends morality. And the characters don't just mirror their counterparts, they expose the parts Lewis Carroll never wrote about. And here's the real kicker: every Wonderland parallel in Borderland reveals the psychology behind the characters, not just their roles. Take Arisu. In Carroll's story, Alice is curious, brave, and disoriented, but protected by whimsy. In Borderland, Arisu has no safety net, no Cheshire cat offering cryptic smiles, and no dreams to wake up from. He's thrust into a death maze disguised as playtime. He doesn't follow the rabbit, he survives beside one. But here's the part nobody ever says out loud: Alice never really dies in Wonderland. Arisu does, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, over and over again. Every game strips away innocence and replaces it with responsibility. The OG Alice gets wonder. Arisu gets trauma therapy with bullets and explosions. And you know what that tells us? Borderland is Wonderland if Wonderland hated you back. Now let's talk Usagi. Everyone sees rabbit and thinks symbolism stops there. Nope, she isn't just the rabbit, she's the white rabbit rewritten. In the original Wonderland, the rabbit runs away. He leads Alice into danger. He doesn't love, save, or fight for her. In Borderland, Usagi stays. She drags Arisu forward when he breaks. She evolves from guide to partner to co-survivor. You know what that means? Wonderland never gave Alice a choice. Borderland gives Arisu a chance, but at a cost. Every step with Usagi isn't destiny, it's defiance. Now here's a question to mess with your head. What if Arisu wasn't meant to survive? What if he only lived because the Alice slot requires a witness, not a winner? Speaking of slots, let's talk about the Hatter for a second. Everyone loves the aesthetics: charisma, chaos, rooftop speeches. But look deeper. The guy's entire existence is a cover-up. He doesn't know the answers. He pretends he does so people can die believing in something. That's not leadership. That's cult logic dressed like nightlife. Wonderland's Mad Hatter was stuck in time forever. Borderland's Hatter is stuck in illusion. He builds the beach not to escape, but to be worshipped while pretending escape is possible. And that's the part nobody catches. In Wonderland, nobody questions the Hatter. In Borderland, Chishiya does. And that is why he survives longer. Let me loop you in on something. Chishiya as the Cheshire Cat isn't a 1-2-1 match. He's actually three things: the observer, the manipulator, the reset button. He doesn't smile to be mysterious. He smiles because he knows everyone around him is lying to themselves. You ever notice this? Chishiya never runs, he watches, he calculates, and he lets other people burn before he risks a scratch. In Wonderland, the Cheshire Cat floats in and out of scenes for mystery. In Borderland, Chishiya vanishes when you need him and reappears when information is currency. He's not just a cat, he's a predator pretending to be lazy. And then there's Mira, the Queen of Hearts. She's honestly the scariest villain in the franchise because she doesn't need to scream or swing axes. She uses truth as a weapon. Her entire croquet match was psychological dissection. Most people think she wanted Arisu to quit. Wrong. She wanted him to choose to accept unreality. That's worse than death. The original queen threatens heads. Mira threatens sanity. Wonderland uses fear to hold power. Borderland uses hopelessness. And the militant, card soldiers. People always assume they're just henchmen. No, they are consequences with legs. In Wonderland, the card soldiers enforce royal law even if it makes no sense. In Borderland, they enforce a system nobody understands, but everyone fears. Fear is the real monarchy, not Mira. Now let's circle to Queena, the caterpillar reimagined. She is calming chaos. She exudes some kind of grounded energy, like she's already processed the madness before you even notice it's happening. But here's the deeper meaning. In Wonderland, the caterpillar questions Alice's identity. In Borderland, Queena questions her own and survives it. Her existence forces the world to adapt, while everyone else is trying to adapt to the world. That's the caterpillar energy cranked to max. Now buckle up, because Naragi is way darker than just the March Hare comparison. The March Hare was insane in Wonderland, but harmlessly so. Borderland looks at that chaos and says, what if insanity had a trigger finger? Naragi is rage disguised as a person. He doesn't just cause trouble, he is the escalation. If the March Hare started fires, Naragi is the wildfire. And when he comes back half-burned, that wasn't survival. That was resurrection from pure spite. Only Borderland could turn a Wonderland prankster into a post-apocalyptic horror. Now let's get emotional again. Chota and Korub as Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Everyone remembers them as the childhood heart, the friends, the jokes, the banter, the loyalty. But think about this. In Wonderland, Tweedledee and Tweedledum show up to distract Alice. In Borderland, Korub and Chota show up to save Arisu by dying. Their exit isn't a tragedy. It's a twisted loyalty puzzle. Wonderland never makes Alice watch her friends die. Borderland makes Arisu carry their ghosts. And then boom, Season 3 gives us a new wildcard, a new Alice. Not in Tokyo, not Japanese, not connected to Arisu, a waitress, a normal girl. And that's intentional because here's the forbidden idea: Borderland isn't a location, it's a frequency. A trigger, a waiting room between death and denial. And if you think only Tokyo gets one, the final scene already answered that. Wonderland had one protagonist. Borderland is franchising trauma. And that brings us to the real question nobody is asking, but everyone should. What if Arisu didn't escape Wonderland? He just passed the role to the next Alice. And if you're still here, hear me out because I'm about to go deeper into theories people are scared to say out loud. But before we move into the darkest parallels and hidden symbolism, if you're watching this and haven't subscribed to Birayek Double episode, what are you even doing? One click turns you into part of the crew that always spots the things everyone else misses. Hit subscribe now, because page 3 is where we unwrap the secrets they didn't want viewers to decode.